Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. Welcome back for Proverbs 17. Hope you are doing well today. Thanks for being here. If you have missed or haven't seen that we are doing these, you can get back in the news feed and get caught up on those, or you can jump over to YouTube. There's a playlist there. I appreciate your likes and comments and subscriptions, and all those are helpful in letting me know you're out there and enjoying these. And any feedback is also appreciated. So let's go ahead and get started. Proverbs 17, verse 1. Better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife. Basically this is saying better is, just plain dry toast in a house that's peaceful and quiet. And there's not any strife or enmity or tension. Than a house full of feasting when it's full of tension and strife and trouble. That could be applied to many parts of life. If the amount that you are working or devoting to a specific hobby or thing, whatever it may be, is causing strife, even if it's bringing income into the house, it may be better to spend more time with the family and making peace than going out and making money to buy the bread and food for the table. That can be applied in a lot of places. So just take a moment and think about what that looks like in your life and how that would be applied. Excuse me. A servant who deals wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully, and will share the inheritance as one of their brothers. So basically, to me, this is saying that your attitude and your, the wisdom that you deal with on a daily basis is going to improve your position in life. So even if you are a servant or you're low on the totem pole at work or whatever the case may be, by simply dealing wisely, by applying some of this wisdom in your daily work, it will improve your position. So the word picture here is of a servant ruling over a son, because the servant is wise and dealing wisely, and the son is acting foolishly. And so we have this promise that if we deal wisely, our position will improve, wherever our position may be. Verse 3, the crucible is for silver and the furnace is for gold, and the Lord tests hearts. So in these days, they would use a crucible or a furnace to heat up silver and gold, and when they heated it up to a liquid state, they could tell by its density, what type of material it was and how much of it was silver and how much of it was not silver or gold. And so by heating it up to its liquid state, it would kind of separate itself out between what was pure and what was not. And so, the application for us is that, sometimes God's going to test us, and it says that the Lord tests our hearts. And so a difficult situation you may be in may be an opportunity that God is using to test you, and to figure out how much is pure and how much is not, and sometimes to burn away those things. It may be that there are things in our lives that we think are good, that God uses these testing periods to burn away and to pull away. And that's just God, purifying us, and we go through this process. And so the fact that we're going through a hard time means that God loves us and that He cares enough to purify us and take some of these bad things out of our lives. And it's not that He is, He's being mean or He's being He's against us. It's that He's for us and that He's trying to bring good things about. Verse 4, an evildoer listens to wicked lips, and a liar gives ear to mischievous tongues. You are who you listen to. So if you choose to take the input and apply the things of an evildoer or a wicked person or a mischievous person, those things are going to be sown into your life, and those things are going to be become part of who you are. And so be careful the input that you allow into your life. Verse 5, whoever mocks the poor insults his maker, and he who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. So by mocking the poor or being glad at calamity or bad things happening to other people, we are, basically bringing ourselves down to a level that we don't want to. So it says, whoever mocks the poor insults his maker. So we know that God created all of us and he loves all of us as his children. And even those that aren't walking with him, they're still God's creation, and he's still seeking them. He's still going after those people. And so by making fun of them, we're making fun of the maker. And that's a dangerous place to put ourselves in. And who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished. So even if you may not approve of a specific set of people or what they do or how they act, we should never rejoice in bad things happening to them. A lot of times I hear this under the guise of, God's just having his justice out on them, and that's not our place to say. It's not our call, and it's not, we don't know what God's up to. Maybe he's working to purify them as well, and it's not our place to step in there or to make comments or to rejoice in their calamity, their bad situations, their rough times, and so that's just not our place. Verse 6: grandchildren are the crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. So it's talking about the healthy family and the fact that to be able to get old enough to have grandchildren, it's a crown, it's an honor for a family. And I know lots of grandparents out there would agree that having grandchildren is an honor, and it is a pleasure. And then it says the glory of children is their fathers. So this speaks to us as children with parents that are as they get into an older age, or as they get into a point where we have the opportunity to care for them, take care of them. That's an opportunity. That's not a burden. That's not it's not a weight. It's the glory of children is their fathers, and by having a loving and respectful relationship with your parents, there's glory and there's honor there, and by having the opportunity as they get older to take care of them, we should look forward to that opportunity, and we should not pawn that off and not look at ways to get out of that. Verse 7: fine speech is not becoming to a fool, still less is false speech to a prince. So fine speech, eloquent words, wisdom is not becoming to a fool. It's not attractive at all to a fool. They don't draw to that. Even so, and even less so, false speech to a prince. So one who's wise and eloquent and a prince isn't going to be attracted by false speech. So again, we kind of have our choice as to what attracts us and which category we're putting ourselves in. Verse 8: a bribe is like a magic stone in the eyes of one who gives it. Wherever he turns, he prospers. I did some research on this one because obviously the word bribe has a negative connotation and is a lot of time used for evil things. A bribe is used to push something through that didn't need to be pushed through, or to gain favor in a backwards or divisive kind of way. The word bribe here, I went back to the original language and looked at it through the references I have, and it's kind of interchangeable as to whether it's used as the word bribe or used as the word gift. And so, I think it's applicable in both cases. In that, if you give gifts, if you bring something of value to a conversation, it's going to improve your position in that conversation. So if you're If you're the one at work who's bringing bagels, or you're the one that does whatever that brings value and benefit to the people around you, it's going to improve your position and how people look at you. But also, if you are that person and you're using it for an evil gain, or you're using it to put yourself in a position that you don't have business being, or to call in a favor, if you're using it to position yourself, or you're using it to jockey yourself, then at that point I think it becomes a bribe, and we have to be careful how we use that. Verse 9, whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates close friends. So he who seeks forgiveness and tries to cover an offense, tries to make good a relationship, seeks love and seeks to benefit the relationship. But he who repeats a matter separates friends. So this goes to, I think, gossiping, in that you may not be saying something that's not true. You may not be talking bad in theory about a person, but by just repeating some bad situation to somebody who hasn't heard it, or somebody that has heard it that is going to be aggravated, or even if they're not going to be aggravated, if it's not benefiting the people involved, then it doesn't need to be repeated. If you're not bragging on someone for doing something good, if you're not talking about the good in a situation, if you're only rehashing the bad things, and you're only rehashing the bad decisions, you're only rehashing the bad situations, you are creating damage, and you're separating close friends, and you need to be careful in that position, because you will ultimately pay for that division, one way or another. Verse 10, a rebuke goes deeper into the man of understanding than 100 blows into a fool. So we've talked about before how a man of understanding, a man of wisdom, takes rebuke and makes himself better because of it. But basically, no matter what you do to a fool, it's not going to improve them. It's only going to, they're only going to become more foolish until they decide not to be a fool. Verse 11, an evil man seeks only rebellion, and a cruel messenger will be sent against him. So an evil person seeks only evil, seeks only rebellion, and going against what God's created and what God has for us. And it says a cruel messenger. The word messenger there is typically translated as angel, will be sent against him. That there will be, there'll be justice, and God is a just God, and He's ultimately going to bring justice about whatever the situation may be. So it's not our job to seek justice. It's God's place to do that. Verse 12, let a man meet a she-bear robbed of her cubs rather than a fool in his folly. So again, it's just a warning to be careful with the company we keep. So if we're hanging out with fools and their foolishness, we are putting ourselves in dangerous situations. Our mamas always told us when we were little, be careful who you hang out with, because even if you're not doing what they're doing, just being in that situation can get you into trouble. And I think that's still very true as adults, in that if we're hanging around people that are doing foolish things, even if our willpower is such that we're not participating, we can be the one that gets injured, we can be the one that gets arrested. If it's an illegal situation, there are lots of ways that we can get ourselves into trouble, and I guarantee that we're not thinking about them in that situation until it's too late, and you're having to explain it to a judge, your wife, your family, your boss, whatever the case may be. It says, let a man meet a she-bear robbed of her cubs. You're putting yourself in a very dangerous situation by being a fool in his folly, or being with a fool in his folly. Verse 13, if anyone returns evil for good, the evil will not depart his house. So by choosing to return evil for good, if someone's being good to you and you're returning evil, that evil is not going to depart from you. Verse 14, the beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. So basically, the beginning of a bad situation is like letting out water. It's hard to let out just a little bit. And you got to think in these days it was before the fancy pitchers with the handles and the spouts. And if you think about like trying to pour a little bit of water out of a bucket or something like that, it's hard just to do a little bit, and it always seems like there's more coming out than you intend. And so it's saying that's how a quarrel starts, and that you think you're just repeating this one little thing, but this whole thing can mushroom and balloon into the situation that you weren't intending. So it's better to just quit, stay out of it, not propagate it, not be a part of it before the quarrel even breaks out. So that's what I've got for the first part of chapter 17 today. We'll pick up with verse 15 tomorrow of chapter 17. And again, any questions or comments are greatly appreciated. Just leave those in the comment section below. Likes and shares are appreciated as well. It lets people know that we're here, and sharing the word here, and a subscription over on YouTube will get you a notification whenever these get posted over there. And I appreciate you being here. Have a great day.